This is the Multi-Orgasmic Mama, the podcast for high-achieving moms to have sex worth putting the energy in for. I'm Tilly Storm, a holistic sex and intimacy coach, and it's my mission to help you want sex again, to have better orgasms, and to feel confident and sexy so you experience more pleasure in the bedroom and beyond. Welcome back to the Multi-Orgasmic Mama podcast. It's Tilly Storm, holistic sex and intimacy expert. And today, if you have not listened to episode 218 on the stages of orgasmic development, I want you to go listen to this one first, to episode 218 first, because today's discussion, all about being bored with your clitoral orgasm, is going to be a continuation of that topic, but I want you to understand the concepts that I talk about in episode 218 before you come listen to this one. So, if you are bored with your clitoral orgasm, what does that mean? Well, for a lot of you out there, it means that either you're numb and you just don't feel anything, so any orgasm, usually a clitoral orgasm, is pretty boring for you. If that's you and that's a situation and you're not, there's so much numbness and disconnection from your body, that's what you're experiencing, and you're just kind of bored with orgasm at all, I'm not specifically talking in this episode to you. So if that's your situation, this isn't what I'm trying to get at. I'm specifically talking to women who are having clitoral orgasms. They can have wonderful clitoral orgasms, and they can be great and yummy, fluffy, wonderful, all the things. And yet they know that there's more to experience, so they're a little bored with it. They've been having clitoral orgasms since they were a child or a teenager, or they're just kind of blah, it only lasts 5 seconds, and then what else is there? This was the thinking that I was experiencing when I was 27 years old and I first started to dive into my sexuality. I never had issues with lack of desire or libido, but what I was wondering was, why the heck could I only orgasm in one way? And even when I could, it was just kind of like, there just wasn't much to it. So this is what set me on a path to discover what that more was. And what the more was the expansion phase of orgasmic development. So in that episode 218 that I referenced, we talk about the 3 different stages of orgasmic development. The first one being about orgasmic reclamation, the second one being about orgasmic expansion, and then the third being about orgasmic mastery. So I'm going to give this to you in a bit of a metaphor today. So this metaphor that I'm going to be sharing with you isn't one that I came up with myself. This is one that one of my teachers taught me a while ago. And it's to consider that your sexuality is a diet, for example. When you're in the orgasmic reclamation stage, it's very much about learning how to nourish your body. It's about learning how to just accept where you're at. Women and men in this stage might be eating a lot of processed foods, a lot of really high sugar and high salt and really shitty foods, but they're starting to begin to recognize, well, number one, this isn't helping me get where I want to go. Number two, they start introducing maybe some healthier choices. Maybe they start buying organics. Maybe they let off on the processed foods a bit. And it's not that when they're in this stage, they're getting rid of everything right away. They're definitely not getting rid of all of the junk food. They're still giving themselves the treats every now and then. But in this stage, a person is really learning how to nourish their body in a way that feels good without judging themselves, to just fully accept, all right, this is where I'm at and this is where I want to be. And the only way to get where I want to be is to fully accept where I am right now and to not judge myself for where I am right now, because the judgment keeps me out of my power and I'm not able to really take the actions if I'm constantly judging myself and feeling guilty for all the things I've done in the past. So orgasmic reclamation, it's about beginning to introduce some healthier things into your diet, into your sexual repertoire, so put healthier things on the sexual menu, for example. And then when you move into orgasmic expansion, it is about eating more clean and really incorporating more healthy foods, more fruits and vegetables, all organics only. And women and men in orgasmic expansion, they're starting to understand that you have more energy and vitality when you eat healthy, that you feel better, that you actually don't need the coffee and all of the things to have the energy or to have the nourishment. You start to recognize that this is a different sort of nourishment and that you can feed your body these different things on the menu and your body responds completely differently. It actually starts to fill you up. It makes you feel stronger. It makes you feel more confident in yourself and all of this. And then when a person is moving into orgasmic mastery, this is where you found the thing that is really working for you. So you've cut out all of the crap that doesn't agree with your system. You're no longer eating the junk food, except maybe every now and then when it's your birthday or your kid's birthday, or you had something that you really wanted to celebrate. So there is still a place for the celebratory eatings, right? You still get to have the chocolate, the ice cream, the whatever it is that you want, the greasy food. However, you've gotten into a much healthier relationship with the food itself and the things on the menu. So these things are more like a dessert, they're a treat, instead of the main course or the main source of nourishment. So you can compare processed food or junk food in this metaphor to more basic sexual practices, such as watching porn or listening to an erotic podcast, for example. So you can see these things as a support or a treat or like a dessert in your sexual experiences, but they aren't something necessarily that you're going to continue to use time and time again to support you in expansion or into the mastery stage of learning how to manifest or heal your body through your pleasure and your sexuality, or to have a spiritual awakening through your sexual power or anything like that. For someone in this stage, you could have a clitoral orgasm, and maybe that's the first orgasm you've ever had, or maybe it's a complete reclamation of your pleasure because you literally never experienced it before in your life. There is no hierarchy to orgasm here, or there's no like it's better to be in expansion and mastery than in orgasmic reclamation. No, it's just a learning process, and everyone is at a different stage, a different phase of it, and there's not one better than the other. So, reclaiming these things, experiencing whatever pleasure and whatever way works for you can be a beautiful thing. But a woman, or really anyone who's moved into orgasmic expansion or mastery, they might find themselves outgrowing their satisfaction or their reliance on more of the treats, on more of the fast food type things, on the porn or the listening to erotica or anything like that that maybe really served her in the past and helped her. But at this point, she's just like, okay, well, I'm a little bored with this. It's not really working for me anymore. And it doesn't really serve my expansion and my progression into using my sexuality into a mastery stage, for example. So there's nothing here that is always good or always bad. There's just differences between where you're at in your orgasmic development, your sexual growth, and using it as a self-development tool and not. So some people, they're going to be in the stage of reclamation, and that's beautiful. And there's certain things that are going to support that. And then for other people, it's not going to be supportive. It just depends on what practices are going to serve you wherever you at on this journey to experience an expanded, healthy, and a more beautiful and loving relationship with your sexuality and your orgasmic nature. I think it's important to note too that making your way through these stages, there is not a step-by-step process that you can just go through one set of techniques and tools and practices and then move to the other and then move into the mastery and check off all of the boxes until you're done learning. That's not how it works. And for a lot of you logical thinking people out there, especially my men listening to this episode, this isn't how it works. So if you're looking for the step-by-step process, the one that you can check off all of the boxes, it doesn't exist. So you get to just drop that right now and you get to recognize that this whole thing is about a journey. So to return to the diet metaphor, so you would never force someone who has eaten crap all their life, who eats fast food and tons of red meat, you would never force them to just become vegan all of a sudden and to have a plant-based diet. That would be completely shocking to their system, completely overwhelming. It would totally suck. They would probably mess up many, many, many times before they could stick to it. And then even then they probably wouldn't, because it's such a drastic change to really shift into this. So you want to gradually incorporate different things into your sexual menu, into your sexual practices, and begin to form new and healthy habits with the new things that you're introducing into yourself. When you engage in these different sorts of practices and you nurture your relationship with your sexuality, your body is going to begin to want different things. So if you are bored with your clitoral orgasm and you start to move into orgasmic expansion and mastery, yeah, it's going to get a little like, well, I know I can have that. That's great. But I still want to know the more. I still want to dive into the more to my sexuality here. And this doesn't happen just by forcing yourself to move into a certain practice that's going to initiate the expansion or initiate the mastery. It's an entire journey of learning where every step along the way is worth celebrating everything that you experience here. So if you are bored with your clitoral orgasm, it's not that there's anything wrong with you. It's just that you are going into that questioning like I was, of like, well, there's got to be more here. What else is the more? And that's what I want to talk to you about. So if you are in this stage of reclaiming your sexuality and your orgasmic potential and capacity, and you've experienced a lot of shame around your sexuality, or you just don't know that much about how to give yourself a really great sexual experience or orgasmic experience by yourself or with your partner, this is because you're in that reclamation stage. So if you're in that stage or the expansion stage of knowing that there's more here and I'm not quite sure how to get to the more, then that's what the Essentially Embodied Woman coaching program is for. It's for women either in stage 1 or 2, mostly a little bit out of stage 1, but moving into stage 2 and some of 3, but not much. It's really about and for women who are wanting to step into that more. And if you are someone who is there, either in stage 1, 1.5, 2, and you're wanting to move all the way to mastery and really learn what is it that I get to do and how do I get to be and what are the specific techniques and practices that I get to learn to use my sexual energy and my sexuality for manifesting the goals and desires I have in my life. How can I use my sexual energy to heal my body? How can I use pleasure to heal myself? How can I use my sexuality and my pleasure to experience a spiritual awakening, to experience the truth of who I am, to find my purpose? Because my God, you can do that. You absolutely can. I did it myself. I found my purpose and I recognized my purpose. I learned the truth of who I am through doing tantric practices. So yes, if that's where you want to be and where you want to go, that's what private mentorship is all about. So if you would like to apply for private mentorship because you are ready to put in the time, the energy, and the very significant financial resources to go all the way to stage 3, you can apply for private mentorship with me at the link in the show notes of this episode. The link to apply for the Essentially Embodied Woman is also in the show notes of this episode. But just know that you're only going to go so far in SEW. I don't take you through orgasmic mastery. I do not have the time, and we do not have the one-on-one attention for me to give you there and that container to take you all the way to mastery. So if you're wanting mastery and you are ready to be completely real with me and to invest the energy, the time, and to make that commitment financially, then you're going to apply for the private mentorship at the link in the show notes. And for those of you not ready to work with me, that's totally fine too. I love and appreciate you being here, listening and sharing the podcast with everyone you know. And if you haven't downloaded the 5 days to epic sex and pleasure for high achieving women training, I want you to go do that now. Why? Because it is literally the top 5 episodes that I could share with you in all of these 220 episodes of this podcast. If I could just give you 5 to listen to, these are the 5 it would be. It's the best of what I've put out there, and it's everything I would want to tell you. If I could have 3 hours to talk with you, I would want you to know all those things. So you can go download that at Tilly, TILLY Storm, STORM.com, and download the 5 days to epic sex and pleasure training today. And again, if you're ready and you want to move into orgasmic mastery, I am so happy to take you there. See you next week. Chances are, if you hear my voice right now, you might be a woman who struggles with lack of libido or desire, doesn't find sex that fulfilling or satisfying, or that's so busy and in your head that it's really challenging to drop in and actually enjoy sex when it happens. Yes, this podcast is here to help you with that. In each episode, I will be sharing everything I know to help you experience more pleasure in your sex life. But let's face it, simply obtaining more information isn't going to change anything about your sex life. The thing is, being a high-achieving mom who's already in her head a lot and is strapped for time and energy, more information is not what you need, sweetheart. Alternatively, learning to rewire your body and your brain so you can get out of your head, be in your body, and enjoy yourself is required. If you're really serious and committed to doing the embodiment practices, the somatic and the nervous system reprogramming, so you can experience epic sex in the bedroom and beyond, then I invite you to consider my Sensually Embodied Woman program. This is my signature program to teach and to coach high-achieving moms like you. And it's how over 70 women have experienced a massive increase in their sexual desire and pleasure in the bedroom and beyond in less than 4 months. Through the program, you'll get deep, intimate coaching from me for 16 weeks, where I'll be able to personally guide you through your specific sex life and relationship struggles. And you'll also instantly join a sisterhood of other high-level women going through the same things to support you on the journey. On top of that, in addition to all of the coaching, the community, the accountability, the teachings, and the audio-guided embodiment practices and meditations, when you join the Sensually Embodied Woman program, you'll get lifetime access to our member library with new bonus content that we're continually adding in. And by the way, the program does help you to become a multi-orgasmic mama too. So yes, you can rely on just the information I share with you here. And yes, you may get the pleasure education you never got growing up. You may grow the ovaries enough to break the ice with your partner and have a meaningful conversation about your sex life. Or you could take the shortcut and get the support you're going to need right off the bat. So if you're ready to commit to doing what it takes to have epic sex and pleasure in the next 4 months, then click the link in the show notes and fill out an application for the Sensually Embodied Woman program. And you'll be on your way to joining my magical world of multi-orgasmic motherhood and fast-tracking your journey to a thriving sex life and relationship today. Once again, hit the link in the show notes to apply for the Sensually Embodied Woman, and I'll see you there in the program.